appreciate that. Benson, good to see you, and the rest of the panel members there, Mr. Garcia. I guess as we get down to the nitty-gritty of how we get to where we need to go, you mentioned earlier the concept of having these different sectors work together, and you all work on a number of federal agencies, or including with the financial regulators. You work and have some knowledge of their expertise, since I think you even have a representative on the NCIC watch floor. So the question would be for better coordination, for harmonization. To get there, somebody, in my opinion, has to be in charge. Somebody's got to take the lead on it, and I don't think that's been asked yet. Maybe, Mr. Benson, you could start. Who should be in charge? Treasury, OCC, Homeland, DOD? How do you set this up? Because at the end of the day, unless somebody's in charge, bringing everybody together, it's awfully hard to make it work.
Well, that's an excellent point, Mr. Chairman. My own view is, in our experience throughout this process, is that Treasury has a huge role to play as it relates to the financial sector. Obviously, DHS has a role to play, but so does the national security apparatus, particularly when we're talking about nation state or terrorists. So I think where the coordination needs to occur, and I would argue that it is occurring now, is in the executive branch and in the executive office of the President, because that's where the ultimate national security apparatus. So you have to bring together the different groups. It can't just be Treasury. It can't just be DHS. It's got to be, somebody has to be coordinating at the top. And so that's where we're seeing in some of the exercises we're doing in working across the different agencies, not just the financial agencies.
The second question I would ask, I still think somebody's got to, I understand your concept there and where the decision making, where the locus should be in the executive branch, but I still think you've probably got to give most of the key decision making to the entity that has access to the most information and understands it the best. But in your testimony, you also talk about the need to increase the pool of educated cybersecurity personnel. There are a lot of universities now involved in this sphere, including Cal Poly Pomona, which is in my district. But I'm wondering what the industry is doing to address this particular workforce shortage in this area of expertise. Are you working with higher ed institutions in order to turn out people? I can tell you, on the other side, Moscow clearly is working hard and educating teams. On the other side of this equation, they've got that special bureau from North Korea that's out there being educated right now in terms of how to hack into the South Korean banking system. So if we're going to do some good defense work, it's good to work through the university system as well in order to offset what's probably coming.
Yes, sir, Congressman. That's a great question. Within the FISIC, we have two task groups that are focused on that question. One is a workforce task group. How do we build capacity for cyber talent that we can use in the financial services sector, and how do we describe the range of job responsibilities that we need, number one, and number two, we have a research and development committee. And within R&D, you think about trying to drive funding, federal funding, a lot of it, through the university research colleges and universities to work on some of those grand challenges related to cybersecurity. And in the process, you are building a pipeline of graduates and postgraduate professionals who will be entering the workforce providing their level of expertise.